Welcome to the Empowered Wife podcast, where it's all about fixing your relationship without your husband's conscious effort so that you feel desired, taken care of, and special, even if your relationship feels completely hopeless. I'm Laura Doyle, and today I'm sharing how to communicate your needs in a relationship. My guest, Mary, and her husband were living like roommates and co-parents, which she figured was just the way life is, full of ups and downs. So she was surprised to learn that she could turn things around by herself, but she dug into the intimacy skills and found that a happy marriage is a tremendous gift and 100% possible. Today, her marriage is an absolute pleasure. She's going to tell us what she did so you can do it too. But first, let's talk about how to communicate your needs in a relationship. It feels really bad when your husband doesn't care about your needs, even if you tell him over and over. It makes it pretty obvious that he doesn't care about you, which can make you feel unloved and scared. But what if it's not that he doesn't care, but that you haven't been well trained on how to communicate your needs in a relationship, just like I wasn't well trained on that. I mean, I was a communications major in college, so I thought I was really good at communicating, like really, really good at communicating because I know what I need and I'm not afraid to say it. But it turns out I was confused about several things. Number one, I confused needs and wants. I need air, water, food, shelter, and I want throw pillows for the porch and to have a summer party and shrimp pad thai for dinner. And when I was afraid to honor my desires for frivolous things, I tried to present them as needs, if you can imagine. It was very awkward, but I thought that would make him take me more seriously. I was wrong about that. I thought that unless the things that I desired were actual needs that had some practical element to them, I wouldn't get them and I shouldn't even want them because that's selfish. So I would just try to disguise my desires and act like throw pillows are the same as oxygen, same level. And that didn't get a great response from my husband because he could smell the manipulation from a mile away. I was just over dramatizing the importance of throw pillows. These days, I love just expressing my desires in a way that inspires him by saying, I would love summer throw pillows. No need to make it sound like I'll suffocate if I don't get them. Once I stopped manipulating and over dramatizing, he got a lot more motivated to be my hero. Now we have throw pillows for every season, and John happily gets them down from the attic for me when I want them. The number two mistake I was making about communicating my needs was trying to say we needed them instead of that I wanted them. I mean, I somehow got confused. I would say we needed things like to visit my parents. We need to visit my parents. And we need to go on vacation, or we need to remodel. And although he didn't say so, there is no universe in which John needs to remodel. The man has no interest in fabric swatches, and he could be very happy with just a cot and a locker. He's told me many times. And that was me who wanted to remodel, not him. Trying to put it on him, it just made it weird. That was just me being afraid to say what I wanted. I didn't know how to honor my desires. All I had to say was, I would love to remodel. Because once I did say that, he got all into remodeling too, like way into it, just to make me happy. Number three, the third mistake I made communicating my needs was saying them over and over again, otherwise known as nagging. When I was repeating myself, it was really to flog my husband for not giving me what I needed, what we needed. It was to complain. It was to criticize. So saying we need to clean the garage the third, fourth, and fifth time was the same as saying, you still haven't cleaned the garage, dummy. He knew this and he tuned me out because who wouldn't tune out a nagging shrew? When I finally said, I would love to park both cars in the garage, I got a completely different response. Later that day, both of the cars fit in the garage. like magic. Number 4, this fourth mistake I was making is that I thought John was responsible for my happiness. So I was telling him what I needed him to do to make me happy, like spending more time with me, being more affectionate, talking to me more. That's what I thought would make me happy. But it turns out it's my job to make Laura happy. He can't even do it, especially when I was so committed to being miserable. So he would know he wasn't making me happy. Once I figured out how to make myself happy and I made that a priority, I got a lot more of the attention and the affection I was wanting from him without having to communicate anything at all. He just wanted to be around that happy woman who was singing Baby Shark in all different voices in the kitchen. These days, when it comes to communicating my needs, instead of repeatedly telling him we need something, I know that the most effective way to get what I'm craving is to be brave enough to honor my desires by saying what I would love. Something big is happening here on the Laura Doyle campus, and you are invited. Hundreds of women have become experts on the 6 intimacy skills and transformed their marriages by becoming certified Laura Doyle relationship coaches who live their purpose, have more intimacy, and earn for their families. In my free masterclass, Purpose, Prosperity, and Intimacy, How to Have All Three and Help Others Do the Same, I share directly from our popular relationship coach training and certification course about the number 1 most important qualification for becoming a successful relationship coach. I also reveal the indispensable first step to having a passionate, peaceful relationship and how to share it with other women. I explain about why our coaches have an unfair advantage over other relationship coaches and counselors. And I go step by step through our proven coaching curriculum and why it's so effective in saving marriages and empowering coaches. Register today for Purpose, Prosperity, and Intimacy. Have all 3 and help others do the same at lauradoyle.org/purpose. That's lauradoyle.org/purpose. My guest Mary and her husband were living like roommates and co-parents, which she figured was just the way life is, full of ups and downs. So she was surprised to learn that she could turn things around by herself, but she dug into the intimacy skills and found that a happy marriage is a tremendous gift and 100% possible. Today, her marriage is an absolute pleasure. She's going to tell us what she did so you can do it too. Mary, welcome to the Empowered Wife podcast. It's so great to have you on the show.
I am thrilled to be here. I really feel like I've come such a long way. Like back in the old days, I could never even imagine that I would be sitting here right now.
Wow. So this is a moment, right? Like you are coming on a show and I'll use the word brag, right? To brag about how good your marriage is. And you made it that way. Mm-hmm. And you never thought that it was going to be something worth bragging about.
No.
So, okay.
Never. No.
I mean, I love this. So what was it like in the bad old days?
In the bad old days, they actually started probably shortly after I got married, which was quite a long time ago. We are coming up on July 4th. Will be our 20-year anniversary from our very first date.
Oh.
And it was a wonderful, wonderful date. My husband took us out on a trip to Martha's Vineyard, and we went all around the island, and we had a lovely day. It was absolutely magnificent. And of course, I remember after that date, I started punching holes, and I'm like, this can't be true. This guy can't be that good. This guy can't be that nice. It's crazy that no one's like that. Well, 2 years later, we got engaged on our anniversary on July 4th. And then he planned the whole wedding, right? He planned the whole wedding and did everything. And it was absolutely phenomenal. All I had to do was show up. Laura, that's all I had to do. Right?
Wow.
So,
Wow.
so I showed up, and I hadn't started complaining yet. My complaining hadn't started yet. So then,
We'll wait for it. We're waiting for it.
yeah, oh, it's coming. It's coming.
Okay.
It's going to be like a flood of complaints.
Okay.
So,
All right.
yeah.
Brace myself.
So I was going along, I was just going along, and he picked out the honeymoon, and I'm like, all right, great. We went off to an island, and I thought that was wonderful. And then we had kids, and I don't mean to blame the kids, but I really feel like I just needed to control everything once they showed up. And when I look back on it now, I realize it was probably fear that I didn't know what I was doing. And I can't believe the hospital actually let me go home with them, but
what were they thinking? Yeah.
I know, what were they thinking? So, and that's when it all began. I started to complain. Everything he did was wrong. He didn't know how to take care of the babies. He wasn't up enough. I was up more than he was. I was nursing the babies. Why wasn't he nursing the babies? I mean, it was just, I was just constantly complaining. I know.
I get it though.
That's how unrealistic it was, and he also had, if he wasn't doing that right, he also was very attentive to his parents, which I thought was really wrong. I thought he was too attached to his parents, and there must be something wrong with him.
Yeah.
Being too attached to his parents. And it went on like this for a long time, that I just thought, oh, well, I guess this is the way life is. I'm just going to have to deal with it. Just like that TV show. What was it? Married with Children, right?
Yeah.
And I was just going to be her and be nagging and complaining and never getting what I wanted. And I was definitely a people pleaser, I was always trying to please, but without actually, and I'd be resentful afterwards because people weren't, especially my husband wasn't doing what I asked him, what I wanted him to do without actually saying what I wanted, And it went on like this for a number of years, that I would complain. And in my head, I had these wants, but I did not actually verbalize them. And so then when I didn't get verbalized and he didn't do what I wanted him to do, I get angry about it.
And did you kind of feel like you were verbalizing them, even though you weren't really verbalizing?
I thought I was. Yeah, I really thought I was.
Yeah, like he must know what you want.
Yeah, he had to know somehow. He should, like he should know by my body language, or he should know by the way I just shunned him, or the fact that I'm not talking to him. He should know. Yeah, all of those.
So it sounds like it was pretty tense at your house most of the time. Is that right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there's arguments, and there may be a little bit of cold wars happening with
there was cold wars. Yeah. It was, definitely waxing and waning. Like sometimes it would be better. Because really, it was really, I gotta say, it was really hard to fault him. I mean, it was really hard. Like I would throw a lot of bait. And he very, very rarely took it. At one point, it was early on in our marriage. And at one point I said, I just don't know if this is really a good idea. I don't know if we should stay married. I don't know if this is really for me. And he suggested marriage counseling. He said, well, geez, why don't we find a marriage counselor? We could figure this out. And I thought, wow. I don't think so. So then he went and he found a marriage counselor, and we went to this marriage counselor, who was a lovely, lovely lady. And I sat there and explained to her how I needed him to change. And he just sat there, Laura, he just sat there and took the hits. He really did not, he didn't fight back. He really didn't. He just sat there and said, okay, well, what is it that you want me to do? I'll do what it is that you want me to do.
Oh my gosh, Mary.
All he wanted was his family. That's all he wanted.
And he sounds like a saint.
He really is.
Oh my gosh.
He is.
No ego whatsoever, right? Just,
no.
just really looking for how he could make you happy. But that's
Just want,
extraordinary. I think
yes.
that's extraordinary. I think we hear a lot of stories here, if this is a sampling of the population, right, that the woman, the wife, is the one that says, we've got to go to marriage counseling. You've got to change. And that's not what happened here.
No.
You did want him to change, but it was his, like, hey, we'll work this out. We'll find a solution.
Mm-hmm.
I'll listen. Maybe I'll try to change, was kind of his.
Yes.
Wow. That is,
And yeah, so we did that for, I don't know, maybe about a year or so. And I thought, we're not really getting anywhere. This lady's really nice and I like her a lot, but we're not really getting anywhere. And I feel like we're spending a tremendous amount of money. So why don't we just, we're getting by well enough. You know, it's good enough. So that was the end of that. That was the end of the marriage counseling.
but you weren't saying that you wanted to divorce at that point, or?
No, I don't think I really wanted a divorce. I think I was just, first of all, it's an embarrassment, right? So I don't want to do that. And people in my family don't actually get divorced, right? So that's just not something to do. Yeah. And really, I loved him very much. I just didn't know. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to be married.
Mm. And it sounds like, in some ways, like you just also didn't know how to care for and honor Mary. Really was.
I had no idea.
And he just happened to be there. He was there, which is lucky, right? Because
he was
trying to make you happy.
Very lucky.
Yeah. But so it sounds like kind of a miserable slog at this point.
It was a slog. It was a slog of blaming, a lot of blame, and all of my unhappiness was due to him. It was his fault. And
end of story.
And then I remember I expressed a desire that I wanted to find a different house that was a little bit bigger and a little bit better for children. And at one point I said, well, I'm going to find another house. You can either come or not.
Ooh, okay.
So that's the kind of bait I would throw, the kind of manipulation I would throw.
But it sounds like you didn't
absolutely
have any...
horrible. I mean, I hate even saying that. I'm like, geez, Louise, it's horrible.
But you didn't know, right? You no one showed you the intimacy skills before this. This is you're trying to get your needs met in the best way you know how.
Right.
Which was manipulation or threats. Well, that's all we had before this,
yes.
Right? And so how did he respond when you said you can come or not?
He got the response. That was the response I wanted right away. We went out looking at houses and found a house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So it kind of worked.
It worked.
The problem, right? There was like, okay, he shaped up because I told him this is happening. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and was there ever a day when you really thought, okay, I think we should break up? Because I hear about the embarrassment and all that, but was there like a worse day?
There was always that like kind of floating around in my mind that I thought, would it be easier to co-parent? Would it be easier? Like I would have some time to myself. And when I look back, I was looking for self-care, but I didn't know how to do it. So I think that was a really bizarre, twisted way of self-care. I thought being divorced might be a form of self-care, right? Like I would actually have some time to myself. He would have to be forced to do his part of the job, and I would not have to worry about managing him anymore. And then in a funny little way, I always thought the Golden Girls had it going on. I'm like, maybe I could just be a Golden Girl. Well, that's actually not reality, right? So, but in my mind, I thought, this must be an easier way. There must be an easier way.
I love that you articulated this, though, that in some ways it felt like a divorce. You were going to finally get what you needed, maybe some solitude.
Yes.
And then you're kind of getting off of his paper, not having to manage him, which is exhausting, right? You get a break from that. He'd have to do his job. So these were things that maybe were pointing to what you actually needed, but you just didn't know how to get them for yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I did not know how to get them for myself.
So the illusion of the divorce, it's kind of like, come get divorced. It'll be so great. You'll get all these things.
Yes. Yeah. You'll have
Okay.
all this freedom. It'll be so much
It'll
better.
be
And
so nice.
you can
Yeah.
sleep all night. Yeah.
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 Yeah. No.
Yeah. And I remember there was I had somehow I come across your book. I think it was through Facebook, and I must have Googled something, or somehow I came across your book, and I bought it, and I looked at it, and I thought, oh, this is kind of interesting. And then I thought, well, I don't have any time to read it, right? Because I was too busy managing everybody.
Yeah.
So then I thought, well, I'll try to listen to it. So I would try to listen to it while I was doing things around the house, which I've since named myself Martyr Mary, or Mary the Martyr, right? Because, yeah, I found that I had to do all these things. And so I would hear your voice reading your book in the background. And it was very soothing and coming up. Oh, this sounds wonderful for somebody else. I wish I could have something like that. And then time went by. I just kept doing what I was doing. And I just thought, that's nice for other people. That's not for me, I don't think, which is just too bad, right?
Yeah, it is too. Why wasn't it for you? What made you think it wasn't for you?
I think it was too, honestly, you know what? I remember I tried Whatever You Think, and I tried duct tape. And the scary thing was it worked. Right, Laura? So that worked. And I wasn't ready to give up what I knew.
Mm. Oh gosh,
So
I
I
relate to
was
that.
more comfortable in with the discomfort and misery that I was in, than actually trying something new.
Mm.
And actually, facing that, I actually had the power all along.
Wow, I love this. That is so accountable and so vulnerable of you to share that. So
It
thank
was
you.
unbelievable. And
Yeah.
then one day, I remember I was standing in my bathroom, and I had signed up. There was 2 webinars, and one of them was a webinar that you would put out, and I'd signed up for your webinar. And there was another one that was a divorce webinar, how to get divorced. And you can come to our divorce thing. And they was like really peppering me with emails and reminders and these things to go. And they were at the same time. And I thought, I really don't want to get divorced. Like, just the thought of that really frightened me. And I chose to go to your webinar. And it was a webinar, and I think it was like a 5-day challenge, I want to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was the 5-day challenge, and it was intriguing. I found it very intriguing, and all these different women were on it, and it just seemed like it was something. There was something there. I found some hope in it, and I didn't quite know. I still didn't know what to do, but I sat down with my notebook and my paper and my pens, and I thought, I'm gonna do this. This is what I'm gonna do. And then I didn't have enough. I thought, no, I don't have enough information yet to turn the ship around. I'm going to go a little bit further. So then I went to the Empowered Wives. It was the Ridiculously Happy Wives group, right? And that's like blew my mind. That just blew the roof off, right there. Because then I found like all these women. I found webinars. I mean, the groups, the coaching groups. I found what do you call them? Not webinars. Videos that I
Yeah.
could watch, right?
Sure.
At my own time, at my
Modules.
own
Yeah.
pace. I could watch these videos and really, really get in depth with each thing. I remember doing self-care, and you asked me to write down 20 things of self-care items. I couldn't think of one. I couldn't think of one.
Oh,
Yeah. Or gratitudes. That was an interesting one. But what really turned my ship around was when you said, write down things that why you loved your husband in the first place. And that's what turned it around. Because that I had a long list of why I married him in the first place. And that list was still there. That's the thing, right?
it wasn't just that he had a big truck or
No,
or say, right. It was
no.
like so what was on that list?
Um, and it was the same list. I'll go back a little bit further. Before I had met Dan, I had said, I'm so tired of dating these guys that I'm really not that interested in. And I just kind of threw it out to the universe. I just said, I really would love, and that's exactly how I said it. I would really love. And I made a little list of, I would love a really nice guy who is smart and fun and who's adventurous and likes to do things and makes me laugh. And shut up. You know what? And he's still there. And he's still hilarious. No one makes me laugh the way that guy makes me laugh. Nobody. I mean, he can just look at me and I can just laugh. Just say the silliest things and it makes me laugh.
That sounds fantastic. So now, but that had kind of gone missing, it sounds like, for a while.
It did. It totally went missing. Well, yeah, because I was so angry. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So, no, but I love this though. So you were now starting to focus on the things you love about Dan.
Mhm.
And how did that change things at your house?
It changed everything. It changed everything. And then I looked at him. That's when the word that you used, which I think was funny, was perspecticals. My perspecticals began to change. I started seeing him exactly how he really is and had been all along.
So when you were thinking, oh, he doesn't do enough or he's not helping, that was not how he really is. This is how he
Correct.
really is. The really giving, devoted, funny, smart, adventurous guy that you
Correct.
married is how your husband really is. So you were seeing him through like glasses with a bunch of scratches on them or something before that.
I was looking at them with glasses that were really scratched up, and I do wonder. I'm going forward, but when I look back, I wonder if I had thought I didn't deserve him in the first place.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, a little wisdom bomb there. So that was part of why it was so stressful, it sounds like, because it felt like not a match.
Right.
And he like you weren't good enough.
Right.
I think this is, I love that because I really think that has, I remember, I think I felt the same way. And I've heard this from other women too. It's like, why wasn't it smooth? Why wasn't it good? And in some ways it can be hard to receive all the
I
good
was
things.
not a good receiver. And the other thing was like, well, when's he gonna find out that I'm actually not, he deserves better. When's he gonna figure that out? But if I keep throwing up all these things, he won't find out. Right.
Interesting. Yeah, I love it. I love that. Yeah, thanks for that honesty about why you were maybe creating some drama in your marriage. That was
Absolutely.
needless drama, right?
And
Yeah.
that was another thing I remember you saying somewhere along the line is that, we as women need drama, but we got to find it somewhere else.
Exactly.
And I remember when I heard that, I'm like, oh, mic drop, right? Mic drop. It's like, I am creating all this ridiculous drama. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you can, it's almost like, well, go take a drama claess or something, right? Like,
Exactly.
okay,
Go for a run. Go take a drama class. Go watch Netflix. Go do something. Yeah. Read a book.
do something different.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, did you start to say these things to your husband that you were now appreciating about him too? Did you, when you made your list of the things you had fallen in love with?
I started, yeah, I started out slowly with gratitudes, which was like coming like, it was like swallowing glass at the beginning, right? Because that's just not who I was. Um, like being grateful and sharing gratitudes because I thought that was like giving him too much, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Stroking his ego.
Just giving him exactly,
We can
just
throw
giving
him a
him way too
parade
much.
just
He
because.
said it.
Yeah.
Yeah, talk about being stingy.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, it wasn't your habit, right? It just wasn't
Not at all.
it
Not at all.
wasn't how you were trained before. Yeah.
No, no, no. Yeah, never let him see it. Never let him see you be grateful. Yeah,
Exactly. That's a
yeah.
secret. We'll keep that to ourselves. So, so how did you get yourself to do that? Was it hard to get yourself to do that then?
No, it started off a little hard. It was a little challenging at first. And it got easier with time and not much time. It really did get easier because the response was so good. His response was so good. To see him be happy was my reward, you know? So every time I would be grateful for something and he would be happy, I would get a reward.
Self-reinforcing,
Yeah, over and over again.
virtuous cycle.
One
Yeah.
of the things I remember you saying was the smile campaign. Just try that. Just try. And I thought, smile. Were you sure about that? Yeah, smile at somebody. So
Yeah.
I came in the kitchen door and I smiled at him and he just smiled back.
Oh my gosh.
Imagine that. Yeah.
You guys are smiling at each other.
Yeah, we were smiling at each other. And yep. And then keep in mind, this whole time I'm keeping this all secret. Like I'm reading the book and everything in secret and doing the group in secret. And yeah. And the poor guy the whole time, he just didn't even know what was going on. He was just, as usual, just going with the flow, trying to make me happy. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So his head must have been exploding though. Like, what is happening around here? Because it was
Yeah.
right. Like checking your
Yeah.
cereal box to see what was in there.
Like the whatever you think, it took him a while with the whatever you think. And I thought it took me a while with the whatever you think. And because he kept coming back for confirmation, he'd be like, no, really, what do you want me to do? And I'd say, no, whatever you think. I'm feeling a little unsure of this. Are you sure? Because I'm sure he was wondering, like, what am I going to do? Because I'm going to quickly correct him. And I used the duct tape, which I love the duct tape. I love using duct tape because it actually was teaching me how to listen, which I never did. Yeah.
Wow. And so you're a good listener now.
It was a forced lesson. It was a forced lesson in listeing.
to use the duct tape. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it worked. It really, really worked.
Well, it's funny that you say forced because the way you just said it, it's like, oh, I loved it because it taught me to listen. So it sounds like it actually is something you enjoy.
Yes. Yes. I enjoy being able to be quiet so the other person can speak and then I can hear what they're saying. I know that sounds, but I always feel like
it's actually a superpower.
Something.
Right? It's a superpower. I don't think it's as common. I mean, it does sound pretty straightforward, and I think we're all supposed to be good at it. But it's nice to develop that skill, right? To have that. It's like learning to play piano or anything else. You've gotten good at it, and now you get to enjoy those.
To not always be wondering, what am I going to say next?
Yeah.
Instead of listening, I'd be thinking, what should I be saying next? Yeah.
Yeah.
So the duct tape, I really do it. And sometimes it's funny. I hear people in the group saying, I needed a roll of duct tape today. And sometimes it's true,
Yeah. Sometimes a lot of thoughts go around in your head and my head, and they want to come out of my mouth, and it wouldn't serve me. It wouldn't really serve me for them to come out of my mouth. So,
right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I love this. So, what is your marriage like now? Now that you've been implementing, you've become a better listener and been focusing on the things that you fell in love with about him, and you smile at him, and You
Oh, it's
say
so
you
much
trust him.
easier. It's so much easier. When I figured out, what self-care was, it just made my life so much easier. And when I figured out how to express desires, it made my life so much easier. When I just got out of the way of his parenting, and he's a fantastic dad. I just kept getting in.
Really?
Yeah, he's great. He actually does most of the heavy lifting.
Really? This is the
True.
same guy that wasn't nursing the babies when they were little,
Same
right?
guy that wasn't nursing the babies. Yeah, he wasn't doing what I wanted to do. Yeah, he's now, I would say he does a lot of the heavy lifting.
Wow. So what
Respect.
kind?
I didn't even know what respect, looked like. I thought that was like giving up my rights, um, respecting him. It was just, and finding out what it's like to show up as a dignified person. It's really, really empowering. Another thing that you did was you did a class on envisioning things of what I wanted. And once my imagination got going of what I really wanted, it all came true.
I want to hear about that. Like,
It all came true.
what did
And
you
that's the
envision?
way things are now, right? So
Wow.
that was, allowing me to be free of, I know it sounds kind of cryptic, but allowing me to be free of my own fears of my own self. So I was able to, just envision things the way I wanted them to be. And what I wanted was a partner, a romantic partner that I was married to, raising a family and having fun and living simply, just enjoying his company and planning for the future and letting everyone just be themselves, right? Without just everyone just doing their own thing. And that's what's happened. Everyone is doing their own thing. Even the teenagers in the house are. It's just the pressure of the pressure cooker is gone in my house. Everyone is just, it's just so much smoother. The stress has gone way down. The kids are happier. Um, I don't know. It's just so much easier and more fulfilling
Mm,
I have a much fuller life.
much fuller life.
Yes, much fuller.
Tell me about that.
Well, when I thought my life was just a sentence, right? This was
Yeah.
just going to be my sentence. I was just going to be
You're
unhappy
sentenced to
married.
40 years of marriage.
Yeah, and that's the
Right.
way
Yeah.
it is. Well, with what I've learned about self-care is now I am, I've met so many other women, not just in Laura Doyle's groups, but like I've joined a running group, a walking group. I'm running. I was not a runner. Okay. So now I'm running. Um, yeah, I
So let
am.
that be a warning to everyone.
I let
Okay.
that be a warning. Yeah. I'm eating so much better. I've actually lost weight.
Wow.
Um,
Wow. Cool.
yeah. Yeah. I've lost weight. I'm much more healthier because now I'm actually paying attention to myself, and it's my responsibility. Now that I'm caring more about myself, you know, it's not anyone else's fault. It's not the society's fault. It's not anyone else's fault. It's not even a fault. It's very empowering. I get to make my own decisions. I get to make my own choices. And
Awesome.
yeah, and I think for my husband, it's much easier for him, that I'm more pleasable. I was not being pleasable. I am now pleasable. Yeah.
Wow. I like how all the skills just kind of come spouting out of you, Mary. Like they're just kind of in your cells now, it sounds like, and
They're
that's how you
totally
talk.
my cells, and one goes after the other, after the other. It's just, and they're so wonderful. They're just these wonderful skills, and they are like never ending. They're just so deep. There's so much to them. And every day I can say, oh, you know what? I think I need some more self-care. There's something I can do. Like if I hear myself complaining or feel myself complaining, I have something to do. It's just, that's not the end of it. I don't have to just sit there in the complaint. I can do something about it. I can do some self-care. And that's it. That's an interesting thing, Laura, about self-care is I thought self-care was that I would have to like fly off somewhere without my family and complain about them, while I was away. Um, you know,
I love
and
it.
yeah, and it turns out that, self-care can be very, very simple, so simple. Like this morning, I was having just a little bowl of oatmeal with some cinnamon. And I just love the bowl it was in. And when I become present and actually enjoy what I have, that I had this lovely bowl of oatmeal and a lovely bowl that I got to pick, and I really liked it a lot. And maybe I shouldn't enjoy a bowl of oatmeal as much as I did, but
I love it.
I really,
I
really did. I'm like, this is like the best. Yeah.
These
And
are
what
good
else could be so
times.
awesome? I'm like, maybe next I'll have a cup of tea. How good is that going to be?
I mean, right? And it might be in a beautiful cup that you love, that you picked, right? I love that kind of self-care. Just there's a lot of
Very simple.
gratitude wrapped into that, and that's very appealing.
And you know what else I love to do every day is think about, which is something I had never considered, was wins. And I found that in the Ridiculously Happy Wives group was wins. And I remember thinking, what is wins? What is that? Things that I was doing right, things that I'm doing right. It's
To
so
celebrate.
empowering. And that's another thing that I find fulfilling that fills up my cup is things that I'm doing right.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and
Yay.
yeah,
Right?
win. I mean, and they don't have to be, I don't have to run a marathon. It
No.
could be, hey, you know what? Everyone's doing really well in my house today. That's a
Ah,
win. Yeah.
that is a win. That's a huge
hmm
win. I love
Everyone's
that.
happy today. We have, we've all sat down and had dinner together. That's a win.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It
That's,
is.
um,
Yeah. Yeah. Having a happy, peaceful family, that's a huge win.
it is such a huge win. And yeah, so my wins and the gratitudes all go together. And I love being able to share my gratitudes towards my family members now, where I used to think, oh no, don't give it to them. Don't give them any gratitude because they'll run with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Speaking of
yeah.
that, how has it affected you said teenagers, right? Your kids are
Mhm,
teenagers.
mhm.
How has this affected them that you've made all these changes?
Um, I think it's really, really good. There was a time, um, not that long ago. Well, I guess, actually, time goes by kind of quickly. I guess it's been 3 years now. Where my husband and my son would argue all the time, and I would too. I would jump in there too. We'd all be arguing. Everybody would be having this big old drama and fight and blame it on the teenager because he's a teenager.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
it's
They have a
all
bad
him.
reputation. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's all him. He'll just have to grow out of it. He's rotten. And
Ah,
you know, with expressing desires and gratitudes and just taking care of my own needs, just take care of myself and all of that caused an environment to be calm and everyone to be able to be themselves. I don't know if it doesn't even make any sense, but it just really cleared the air of any toxicity in my house, just really cleared it out. And whatever was there is gone. And now my husband and son sat down the whole year doing math homework. And he did unbelievably well in math. And it went from a point of, I thought I'd have to hire a tutor. I did hire a tutor, to my husband sitting down with him and my son asking him, Dad, can you sit down with me tonight and do some homework?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
At the beginning, it took a while. It did take not a ton of time. It didn't take a lot of time, but they weren't used to it because they were used to me jumping in and somehow causing a problem. And they would both of them would like come after me to try to like get back into the way things were. And I just didn't do it. And what we call it is bait, right? So I didn't take it. And I did some self-care and I would watch Netflix, which I, never gave myself the time to do. I'm like, no, I'm going to go watch a funny show.
Wow.
And they'll work it out. And you know what? They did work it out. And they get along famously now. Yeah. Yeah. And now my son is always going to him for advice and for math homework or how to fix his bike or how to do something, any kind of advice. He
oh my gosh. So this really restored their relationship, and your husband sounds like a terrific dad, and you're getting, and so, and his kids are getting the full benefit of that, and you're getting the benefit of being able to watch this and see your son I don't know, get trained in math and how to fix his bike and also how to be a man.
Yes. Yeah. Because I don't know how to be a man. I thought I did. I thought quite sure I knew how to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's again why my life is more fulfilling now, because I'm not doing all that. I'm not in their business. I'm not doing, stirring it all up. Everyone's just living their own lives and I'm living my life. And I'm so grateful to be able to see them enjoy their lives, just really enjoy their lives and have dreams and want to go places and do things or just hang out, And that's okay too. Just relax. We don't have to be everywhere. We can just like stay home.
Wow. What an incredible gift to your kids. But it also just strikes me as a big accomplishment to create this kind of family environment that you're describing. I think this is what we all want. I think who doesn't want this, right? To where it's calm and everyone's pursuing their dreams and their interests. And it just kind of melts me that he helps him with his homework every night. I mean, that's right. It's just seems dreamy.
Yeah. And he asked for it. It was no longer like, what are you doing? What is your math homework? What is your grades? It's that's all gone. It's all gone.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Incredible.
And he got a really high grade in math.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Best of both worlds. Didn't have to nag and the results were better too. So
yeah.
I love it.
So better. And it's just amazing to me that all these skills, how they all work together. And I still find myself we were doing some moving and things and I'm actually going easier on myself now. For some reason I thought everything had to be done yesterday. And I'm going much easier on myself. Which is really, really nice. I found that I was very, very hard on myself. And then I couldn't even please myself. Yeah. Yeah. I was very hard on myself, and now I've relinquished control of myself.
So good. I love that, Mary. What do you think if you were talking to a woman who is where you were, where she's very angry, feels like he doesn't do enough, she never gets time to herself. She thinks maybe, divorce would be good self-care.
Hmm.
And she wants what you have now, where she just sees what a wonderful man she's married to, and he's helping the kids, and she feels like she gets to watch Netflix and do the things that she wants, and she's easier on herself, and she wants this great family life that you've created.
Mm.
What's your tip for her?
Um, well, one would be get a book, right? Start with one of your books. The Surrendered Wife or The Empowered Wife or both. I have both. I have all of them actually. Um, and I love them. I love them. I am a total groupie. And also I would recommend joining the Ridiculously Happy Wives group. Really get in there. There's so much valuable information in there that she could, and that's what I did is I did it when I had time, and I watched the videos, and I could watch them over and over again. If one I wasn't quite sure about, I'm like, oh, well, I'm not sure about that, especially the self-care. I'm like, I'm not so sure about that. I'm going to go back and watch that again. What did she say? So I really had time, and I really enjoyed the videos because I'm a visual person. So that was helpful for me. And then when I joined the groups and I went into and there's many group calls for different time zones. And I would get on those, and I found those to be very, very helpful, and they're recorded, so even if I couldn't get to a live one, I could get to a recorded one. So there was like no way out, there was the only way was to just go forward. There was so much information there, and I just had to, for me, I just faced my fears. And that's what it was all was fears that I made up, right? I made them all up, and they weren't real. And when I found that out, that I had relinquishing control of everything was actually gave me all the power. And it sounds like an oxymoron, but
It does. It does.
it sounds like an oxymoron, but it's true. When I relinquished control, then I actually had control of my own life.
Wow.
I
love it.
That was it. I think really getting involved in the Doyle community is just, I had asked the universe at one point, I would love to be around some dignified women who are grounded and really built each other up, because women notoriously will break each other down, right? But this particular group is anything but. Everyone builds you up. You have so many wins. Everyone's standing for you. There's only one way, and it's up. It's up and out. It's just, it's what you want it to be. I think the only thing that was limiting me was any limiting beliefs I had. So
I get your joy in this process is evident. Like it's just contagious. You're like,
it's
and then I did
unbelievable.
this and I did that. And then I just hear like you were kind of pulled along. It wasn't like I had to force myself to do this because I needed it. It was more like, it just sounds like there was some pure joy in it for you.
Pure joy. It was this inspiration. I was inspired by other women is what happened. I was inspired by you. I was inspired by you and by the coaches that are in the program. I was inspired by women who had a lot of difficulties, to couldn't find their way out, to being really, really happy and free. So and then willing to share that. They wanted to share that with other women. So that's why I am doing this in the first place, because I thought, geez, if I could get here, if I could get to this point of freedom and happiness, then other people can too.
Yeah, absolutely. And was this part of when we did the imagination training about talking to your future self, was being on the
Mhm.
podcast
Mhm.
part of that, part of what you
No,
imagined?
it wasn't. I was too afraid, Laura. I was afraid of everything. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
You,
Um,
it's
yeah,
hard to picture now.
truly. Truly, I was afraid of everything. I can remember being afraid to when I was in the group calls, I was afraid to speak
Oh,
at a group call. Mm-hmm.
well, I think you're not the only one. I think
Because I was
that's
afraid to speak. I was afraid I was going to get it wrong.
yeah.
There's no getting it wrong. There's
It's
no
pretty
getting it
hard.
wrong.
It's pretty hard.
It's pretty hard. Yeah.
And if you did, the coaches are there to keep
The
it.
coaches are there, and it's all good. It's all a learning experience. Yeah. It's learning a different way of being. And one of the biggest things that I learned was being on my own page. Right. So that's one thing that I learned in the root calls is being on my own page.
Yeah,
And
that's
what a great
empowering.
place it is to be, because once I'm on my own page, I'm not responsible for anybody else's happiness. They are. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. What do you think you would say to Mary if you could go back in time and tell her what you know now?
oh, geez, Louise, I wish I got this as a wedding present. I really do. I wish I had had this back in my 20s. But I guess I was ready when I was ready. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I was ready when I was ready. And I wish it was earlier. And what was your question again? What would I say to myself? Back then, I would somehow tell myself that all of my troubles were of my own doing.
Mm.
Yeah, my troubles were of my own doing, and that that I was responsible for my own happiness, right? And I was not responsible for anyone else's happiness, only my own.
Yeah. And you just didn't know what you didn't know.
I
None of
didn't
us
know what
do,
I didn't
right?
know.
Yeah.
And I find that leading by example, people are mirroring me now. Um, yeah, which is wonderful because I want everyone to be happy,
Yes,
right?
exactly. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah, and your passion for this work really comes through and is inspiring. It's so
it's so
inspiring.
pure. It's just so pure. It's so honest. It's so kind. It comes from the heart. Um, that's what you stumbled upon all those years ago, and you asked, what's the answer? You found 6 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're each one, I just can't believe how big they are, you know? They're just so big. Each skill there's just so much to them, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Sometimes people will say, okay, the 6 intimacy skills, what are they? And I'll just think, well, if you got about a year, so we can
At
right?
least
We can't
it's a
just tell them.
lifetime for me. It's a
I
lifetime
mean,
for me.
it is. I mean, of course you can just list the skills, right? I could just list them, but yeah, the word water doesn't quench your thirst, right? There's a whole adventure ahead in employing them like you did and experimenting with them like you did. And that's when we see the kind of transformation that you're describing, where it doesn't sound like you are thinking about divorce anymore,
Oh
or
no.
and that anger that you had, I don't know where that went. Seems like it left the building.
It
Yeah.
has left the building. Like when you say, I think what's the book? Ridiculously Happy is as much as you can stand it.
Yeah, things will get as good as you can stand.
So
Yeah.
yes, yes. That's about where I'm at right now. That's where I'm at right now. And yeah. And it's just life is so much more fun now, you know?
Yeah.
It is just so much more fun because I have no idea. No idea. That's my Boston accent, but putting it
There it
out
is. I heard it.
long.
I heard it in her. Oh,
Um,
yeah.
yeah. Um, but I don't know how long I'll be here, but however long I'm going to be here, I'm going to be happy. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'll be happy and I'll be sharing it with other people. Um,
Yeah. You're not going to let your
don't
pain
tell
go to
them what to
waste.
do. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. 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 Well, Mary, this has been so gratifying, inspiring, joyful to get to hear your story of how you transformed your marriage. I do want to give you today your wife award.
Oh,
Yep, you've earned a wife award for this transformation, right? Not everybody does this, but you did. It's an incredible accomplishment. I just want to celebrate what you've created with your happy family compared to how it was before you knew what you know now and developed all the superpowers that you have.
it's fun. Yeah, Laura, again, I know people thank you all the time, and it's well deserved. It is well deserved because it's giving other people purpose. Like you've given me a purpose. At one point I thought, what is my purpose? What is my purpose? I kept asking it and I found it. So not only is my family happy, not only am I happy, but I have been given a purpose to spread this and to share this. And that's why I went into coach training. And that's why I became a certified coach.
And now you're a coach.
And
yeah.
I didn't even know what I was doing when I was doing it.
You didn't know you were going to end up a coach out of coach training.
No.
You just wanted it for your marriage, probably.
I just wanted it for my marriage because I knew I needed to learn the Laura Doyle language, and I learned it.
Yes, you
And
did.
I wanted to be fluent.
You are fluent. You are fluent.
And so now I have a purpose. And it's interesting. I heard you say that the coach training and / purpose. It's true. It is true. It's purpose. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm just so grateful that you're on this mission to end world divorce with me, Mary. It means a lot to me. So, and thank you for all.
It means a lot to me too. It really does.
Yeah.
I really feel like, Laura, that the stronger families is the answer to a lot.
It is. Right.
Yeah.
The world depends.
The world depends on this work.
On strong families. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And just being on this podcast today, you did a lot to end world divorce. But I know there's so much more ahead, and we're just going to spend the rest of our lives together, lifting each other up and lifting up the world.
Oh, absolutely. There's so much, and I just love these skills because it just goes on and on and on. I enjoy it. I truly am. It brings me a lot of joy.
Me too. Well, this has been great. Thank you so much, Mary.
Oh, I think all of it goes to you. Thank you.
Here's a shortcut for getting on one of those group coaching calls that you've heard so much about on this podcast without having to commit to a membership. You ready? Be one of the first to get my brand new Empowered Wife workbook and journal, a guided journey to transforming your marriage with the 6 intimacy skills. Pick it up at the store, any store, and upload a picture of the receipt to lauradoyle.org/journal-bonus. It's lauradoyle.org/journal-bonus. We'll give you the secret handshake so you can join the call on July 27th. And who knows, maybe you'll get coaching from a master relationship coach, or you can just lurk in the back of the Zoom call if you prefer. My brand new Empowered Wife workbook and journal includes a 30-day routine to kickstart your practice of the 6 intimacy skills. It's filled with powerful questions and exercises to make them stick and make your marriage last and thrive. So get your Empowered Wife workbook and journal now at your favorite retailer so we can put your name on the guest list for a group coaching call with a master relationship coach. Listen and subscribe to the Empowered Wife podcast. On next week's episode, I'll share about how to transform your marriage with the 6 intimacy skills. Oh, yeah. In the meantime, I hope you're having lots of fun. Today's fun fact is that John was telling me the names of all the snails on our porch. There's Slicky, Slippy, and Sloppy. And I was like, wait, his name is Sloppy? And John said, Sloppy has a good heart.